Why are the prices of Borka Blades so damn high? What's going on, guys? Carter here with Edge Mindset. We're talking all about Borka Blades today, why they're so expensive, what my prediction is for the Borka market, what I think you're going to see over the coming year, and we'll just show off a couple of things here. So before we get started, what are we looking at? This is the Borka Blades SBSP rocker. This is a handmade knife by Sebastian Berengi, who is the owner, creator, facilitator, whatever, of Borka Blades. And here we have the classic stitch. Beautiful design. Really, really cool. I've got videos on both of these knives, like unboxings and different things on both of these knives. Now, before we begin, let's talk. When I say expensive, what am I talking about? Like when I say numbers, and this is important because depending on when you watch this video, the context of this video may change or not even be pertinent at all. So a little bit of a snapshot in time for a pre-owned, I hate to say pre-owned, that makes it sound like it's used, right? But just secondary market, somebody has already owned this knife. It's in pristine condition, not a single mark on it, never cut, never used. You're looking at about $3,000 for a stitch like this. Now, keep in mind, this does not have the sculpted backspacer. It does have the rock pattern on the blade, which is fairly desirable. The finish is kind of PJ. This one has an orange peel finish on it. If this was like the cosmic finish, it would fetch more money. So this is about as PJ as you're going to find. You can also find one similar to this that has kind of the, I forget what it's called, but it's kind of the wood grain pattern on the handles here instead of the orange peel. That's going to fetch a similar price. If you have one that doesn't have a rocked out blade like this, it might be a little bit less. You know what I mean? Around $3,000 for this. Similar thing with the SB here. Now, these are generally priced a little bit lower than the stitches. This is a pretty tricked out one. It's pretty rare. You don't see this blade shape too often, and it's a full rocker on the top there. And then it's got this really cool kind of fallouty type finish. I'm not sure exactly what it's called. It's not the blood finish that he does, and it's not a fallout finish, but somewhere in between, kind of a cool rusty type post-apocalyptic type finish on here. These will go about $3,000, maybe a little bit less, somewhere around there. So very, very expensive for these knives. Why? Why are they so high? Let's get the basics out of the way. These are custom knives, right? And I know the definition of custom varies according to different people and what they consider to be a true custom knife, mid-tech or whatever, but we're just going to call it custom. It is a handmade knife by the designer of the knife themselves. So that means a couple of different things, right? Obviously, you're paying for all of the handwork, all of the time. You're paying for a maker to makey type relationship, right? The owner of the company, designer of the knife, is the one who also made this knife, did all the handwork on it, put it together. But it also means it's very, very limited. Because of all the handwork involved, these are not churned out, right? There's not dozens or hundreds of these being made every week. I don't know exactly what his output is, but it's well below demand. So that's part of it too. You know, it's scarce. And for a lot of people, scarcity holds no value, but for most people, scarcity holds some form of value, right? Pretty much everyone will agree if something's rare, it should be worth more. Now, how much more, that's going to change with everybody involved and how passionate they are about the particular object in question. But usually it means it's going to be worth a little bit more. So custom knife, premium materials as well, handwork, all that stuff, along with the scarcity of the limited production. These are not production knives. He doesn't have a shop with people that help him out. Everything's done by him. So that drives the price up too. But then you may be saying, well, that accounts for maybe half of the price, right? Because you can find similar makers making knives that aren't nearly as expensive as this. So why are Borkas so expensive? The short answer is, you know, he's popular. It's hype. He's kind of blown up in popularity. More people want his knives than are being produced. But the shorter answer is you got to look at his career. So he started, I think, around 2010-ish or whatever, kind of kicked off in the 2000 teens is when he really started to gain momentum. He did what normal or most custom makers do. He built a following. mostly off of his flagship model, the Stitch here. People liked his knives. They collected his knives. He continued to improve his craft and do very, very well. One of the things that's noteworthy about the Stitch in his career is he really kind of nailed this thing pretty early on. Like this design has been relatively unchanged for quite a while. You have to go really far back to see some early pieces that are any different than this. So aside from some very early stuff that are a little bit different, he kind of honed this knife in all the details, and he just did it right early on. And so that kind of helps too, because it allowed him to kind of build the cult of the Stitch almost from the very beginning. And it also means that you can pick up a Stitch going pretty far back. Like this one's from 2019. And if you didn't know it was from 2019, I mean, you'd think it was made last year. I mean, obviously, if you kind of follow the trends of what he's currently doing in terms of finishes, you might say, well, he doesn't do orange peel for a while. But other than that, there's no telltale signs, right? It's not like this one isn't on bearings, or it doesn't have the contoured scales, or he changed up the opening hole the last couple of years, right? So it's been a very stable design for him, which I think has also helped him gain some momentum. But anyways, going back to what I was saying, started making custom knives, building a following, things were good, and then he made friends with Tony Marfione, right? And they have been pretty good friends for quite a while now. Made friends with Tony Marfione, and that really kind of catapulted his career into the stratosphere. His collaborations had put his name on the lips of lots of knife collectors and enthusiasts out there, which in turn causes people to want to look at his custom knives, want to get an OG Stitch or an OG whatever. And that really kind of exploded everything and made it big, right? It created that kind of popularity bubble. Everybody wanted a Stitch. Everybody was trying to get a Stitch, and they couldn't get their hands on them, and it kind of just inflated the cost of them, right? Harder to get. With the hype and the popularity, it's going to drive the price up there. So that's happened over the last like 5 years or so, for the most part, 4 or 5 years. But what I've noticed this year, especially 2024, is that seems to be dying down. Some of the energy there is starting to slow. And I think it's just a lot of the people that were really hyped to get their hands on one were finally able to, maybe a couple. They've had them for a while. Nothing lasts forever. I think that bubble is slowly starting to shrink down into more appropriate levels. Still very popular and still very highly valued. But I think the kind of excessiveness is starting to chill out a little bit, and you're going to see prices come down. In fact, I'm seeing them come down now. Now, some of this might be indicative of the overall knife market kind of coming down, right? There's a bigger bubble in terms of the knife market as a whole, but it seems like Borka's getting hit a little bit harder. Now, grain of salt, this is my perspective. This is what I've noticed, right? I don't have access to any sort of database that goes through sales numbers and how many are moving and things like that. This is just me keeping an eye on the forums, keeping an eye on sales posts, seeing what's not moving, seeing prices drop and still not moving as kind of an indicator of where we might be headed with the Borka market. As always, I could be completely wrong, and Borkas could rebound and go higher than ever. You never know. This is purely conjecture on my part, based on what I'm seeing and also based on what I've seen with other knife models. You know, popularity doesn't last forever. There's a similar thing going on with Chavez Customs as well. He launched his Ultramar line just like this collaboration with Tony Marfione. It kind of put Chavez knives in the minds of a lot of people in the knife community. That made them say, hey, maybe I want to look into getting a custom. And that drove up his custom prices as well. I think that's also starting to cool down, although it doesn't seem like it's as much as what I'm seeing in the Borka market. There's far more Borkas available than custom Chavez knives. Those ones are harder to come by for sure. So that's what I'm thinking is going on with the Borka market. So if you're wanting to get a custom Borka, a real Borka, whatever you want to call it, I would hold on to your horses, keep an eye on the sales market, and see if you can get some good deals, because I think you're going to see them popping up. Now, I'm recording this right before Blade Show in June, so that's affecting the knife market as well. I'm curious to see what things look like a month or two after the show, when if that is the case for a lot of what I'm seeing causes it to mellow out and kind of go back to where it was, or if we're going to continue, like I think we will, on this trajectory throughout 2024. I really think towards the end of the summer is going to be an amazing time to maybe buy some knives that you didn't think you would ever be able to afford. So if you're kind of jaded right now, maybe you've bought some stuff and you're having trouble selling it, that sucks. I know those feels. I'm feeling them right now. But keep in mind, it might also be a good time to buy some stuff that you didn't think you'd be able to get at prices you didn't think you would see. So hopefully that's the case for some of you out there. For people holding a lot of high-value knives, maybe it's not the best news, but it is what it is. Everything ebbs and flows. It's like the stock market. Comes up, comes down, all kinds of stuff. So let me know down below, do you think my prediction holds any water, or do you think I'm just full of hot air and bull crap? Comment down below what you think about the Borka market, if you agree with this, or if you think it's a small blip and it'll correct itself. All right, guys, appreciate you all. Take care. I'm out.